Now, I'm going to play a report in a few minutes about two black MVPs in Philadelphia. Okay, sometimes I like to play some throwbacks that I've done in the past. And today, I'm going to play for you a report that I did 16 years ago now, in 2007, which was the 60th-year anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking baseball's color barrier, which is when I started doing my work on the subject of the decline of the Afro-American ball player in Major League Baseball, all right, and in baseball period, but in Major League Baseball, where the percentage of Afro-American ball players among all major leaguers represented were just 8%. 8% of the ball players were Afro-American, and that's what it was in 2007, and that's what it is now. If it's not less, it might be 7% now. So in 2007, I did a report with two MVPs from the Philadelphia Phillies, Ryan Howard, who won the award in 2006, and Jimmy Rollins, who won the award that 2007 season. All right, the 60th anniversary, 60-year anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking baseball's color barrier. Spoke with both of those two guys. Also, their hitting coach, Milt Thompson, who was a member of the 1993 Philadelphia Phillies World Series team that lost to Toronto. Milt Thompson had a lot of success in that World Series. Milt Thompson was a graduate of Howard University, where he played baseball for Howard. Howard now, since 2002, they no longer have a baseball program, okay? And that is just a reflection of the lack of interest in baseball in the black community now. And that is also, that shows you how few Afro-Americans are really playing the sport now. So, and, of course, at that same time when Jimmy Rollins and Ryan Howard were in Philadelphia, Allen Iverson was in there doing his thing and had the city captivated, okay? The black community, we know, was captivated with Allen Iverson and the basketball and Sixers and all that. So my look at it was how many people in the black community in Philadelphia are interested in what you two are doing and all that, and we get into the whole subject with them. So I'm going to play that in a few minutes. All right, I see Jimmy Rollins on TV now all the time with these playoffs going on, the National League Championship Series, and he's one of, I love listening to him, Pedro, and Curtis Anderson, another guy who I've interviewed and done several stories with over the years on this subject, and both of them are great. So, yeah, I'm going to drop that 2007 report on you all very soon. No, I'll drop it now, matter of fact, okay? And then we can come back and discuss a little bit. And then we are going to have some thoughts about the New York Football Giants and Daniel Jones, who, please, I don't even get upset right now. So anyway, a report from 2007, Howard and Rollins, MVPs, two black MVPs in Philadelphia. We're back. For the Philadelphia Phillies, the 2007 season began with them trying to rebound from finishing 12 games behind the New York Mets for first place in the National League East Division the previous year. The 2007 spring training began with Philadelphia Phillies shortstop Jimmy Rollins telling the media that the Phillies were the team to beat in the division and not the New York Mets, who were the class of the National League in 2006. When the 2007 season began, Rollins was one of four African-American ball players on the Philadelphia 25-man roster. Along with Rollins was little-used outfielder Michael Bourne, relief pitcher Tom Gordon, and first baseman Ryan Howard, who in his first full season in the major leagues in 2006 won National League Most Valuable Player honors. At the time we met with Rollins in 2007, we were just days away from the 15th of April, the 60th anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking baseball's color barrier, and the 8% statistic of African Americans participating in Major League Baseball was all too real for Rollins.
Well, the first thing you do when you go to a team is you look at the other team, and as a black person, you're trying to find other brothers on the squad, and you'll be surprised how you go some places and there are no brothers. I mean, there's some brown skin out there, but, you know, they speak Spanish. And I love them the same way. You know, I love the Caucasian players the same way, but you still want to know who's on that team that's a brother, because that's who you identify with. The struggles that you go through as a black player in this game, you know they're going through. And yet it's a different organization. You still have the same answers. He asks you the same questions because you want to know. And it's kind of sad when you go somewhere and there are no brothers on the team. It's like, well, I know they got to have some in the minor leagues. I know one or two has to be ready to be in the big leagues, but unfortunately, that's the way the game is right now.
J-Roll was born and raised in the Bay Area of Oakland, California, and he explains how he became attracted to baseball.
Well, I always grew up playing baseball. That's, you know, one of my first memories is going to the softball field watching my mom play. And I guess I'm fortunate in the fact that I had two baseball teams, you know, kind of like New York. I had the Giants and I had the A's, and they were winning. So you grew up in a baseball town. You know, the 49ers, you know, were secondary. The Raiders had moved down to Los Angeles, so all I had was baseball pretty much.
At the time Rollins was growing up in the Bay Area, the San Francisco 49ers in the National Football League were in the midst of a dynasty, winning numerous Super Bowls with players such as Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. So what pushed the pendulum towards baseball for J-Roll in terms of interest?
No, I don't know. I really don't know. I think it had more to do with my mother playing softball, being around the field, being around the dirt, being around the grass, you know, seeing the action of the game, and I guess at a young age, understanding the beauty of the game, that not everything you want to happen is going to get done, and you have to be patient, you have to pick your choices, but you have to be good, you have to be consistent in order to win in baseball, because whoever's the most consistent, makes the fewest errors, is usually the team that's going to win.
Rollins' teammate Ryan Howard was raised in St. Louis, Missouri.
For me, you know, it's just a matter, like, a lot of my friends played. I guess, you know, I just got interested in playing because they were playing. You know, my parents wanted to put us in something productive, so we started playing all different kinds of sports, baseball, basketball, soccer, and stuff like that.
Howard talks about how many of his African-American peers were playing baseball as he was coming up in his youth.
I don't know, like my basketball team, you know, I was on a predominantly black basketball team, and during the summers, we'd switch it over and we'd play baseball. So, you know, I played for a couple different teams, and, you know, we had a team. So, I mean, growing up, you know, that was one team that I had played on, but majority of the teams that I played, like travel teams, were predominantly white teams.
Ryan Howard's 2006 MVP season saw him post 58 home runs and 149 runs batted in. In 2007, Jimmy Rollins finished the season with 30 home runs, 94 runs batted in, 38 doubles, 20 triples, 41 stolen bases, and a .296 average. Those numbers, along with Philadelphia's climb in the standings in the final month of September, which saw them come from 7 games behind the first-place New York Mets with 17 games remaining on the season to win the division, clinched the 2007 National League Most Valuable Player Award for Jimmy Rollins. All of a sudden, the Philadelphia Phillies had back-to-back National League Most Valuable Players. Ryan Howard and Jimmy Rollins' hitting coach in Philadelphia is Milt Thompson, who played for the Philadelphia organization from 1986 through 1988, and then again in 1993 and 1994. While playing in the 1993 World Series with Philadelphia, Thompson set a franchise record with the most runs batted in a World Series game with 5 in Game 4 of that World Series. Thompson was born and raised in Washington, D.C., a generation or so ahead of Ryan Howard and Jimmy Rollins.
I was fortunate where my grandfather, my dad, and my uncle barnstormed in the Negro Leagues. So I was always around the game of baseball. My dad was a brick mason by profession. My uncle was worked at a lumber yard. And Monday through Friday they would work, and then come Friday night we'd all pack up in the cars and go north and south on 95 from Washington, and they play a doubleheader on Saturday and a single game on Sunday. Come on back, go to work again. I mean, that's what helped me get into baseball. The fact that I was around it, I loved the game, and I learned so much about it by watching them play. They played for the love of the game. They didn't make any money playing, you know. If you hit a home run, they'd pass the hat around and stuff. And the great part about it is, especially on Saturdays, when we had double headers, you know, after the games, everybody would bring something to eat. It was just like a big old picnic, a big party.
Jimmy Rollins, on how many of his African-American peers growing up in the Bay Area were into baseball?
Well, shoot, when I was a kid, everybody played baseball. Everybody played baseball, and then football was secondary, and you could pick up a basketball and go play with anybody. But still, the pride and joy of the Bay Area was baseball. And it's still that way now, but with other sports coming in, getting all the ESPN time, with the high school basketball, high school football, baseball does start to get pushed back, especially in the black communities, because they see it as, a white sport. They don't really see the black players being marketed. So I would understand why they would, turn their eye away from baseball and look at the other games.
In 2008, Jimmy Rollins, Ryan Howard, and the Philadelphia Phillies won their first World Series title since 1980. Surely one would think if anything is going to excite the African American community about baseball, then it would be Ryan Howard and Jimmy Rollins, two MVPs. This is Ryan Howard on how much interest he sees for baseball in Philadelphia's black community.
Since I first got there, I wasn't quite sure, but now, I can walk around the city and, there's bus drivers that kind of stop, open their bus, and they'll say hello. Just people walking down the street and people in the barbershops, wherever, it's gotten out and it's gotten around, that the black community is to me, it seems more interested in baseball in Philadelphia. And if, you can look at myself and you can look at Jimmy, is kind of hoping to be the catalyst for that, then, that's something to be proud of and hope that we can keep that influence going.
Will African-American kids be influenced by Ryan Howard and Jimmy Rollins?
You hope that it would make kids all across the world, all across the United States. More African-American kids across the United States want to play. But it's all about, being marketed the right way and using that to the advantage of going out there and trying to say, hey, these two athletes, these two African-American athletes were both MVPs on the same team 2 years in a row. And if you can go out and you can market and use that the right way, then, yeah, there's a way that you can, get it across to the kids out there.
In 2007, there were just two African-American starting shortstops in the majors, the captain of the New York Yankees, Derek Jeter, and Jimmy Rollins, one for each league. Major League Baseball has become rich with Latin talent at the shortstop position, and Rollins, who grew up in the Bay Area of California, grew up watching an African-American shortstop on the San Francisco Giants, Royce Clayton, and we asked Rollins what it means to him to be one of the last African-American shortstops left in the game.
I definitely take pride in that. I grew up watching, Ozzie Smith. Royce Clayton was right around the corner for me. And, of course, everybody watched Cal Ripken. I was a Cal Ripken fan, too. And I had, a talk with Royce Clayton in spring training, and he knows because, we've been on a couple trips together. He knows how I feel about him. And, he was just breaking things down to me in a way that really made sense, that I'm out there, one of only the few left, brothers playing shortstop. It's my job to inspire another young brother to want to grow up and be a major league shortstop one day. And you can only do that one at a time. And if you get one, then you kept the tradition alive. It went from Ozzie, in my eyes, from Ozzie to him, to me, now from me to somebody else.
Philadelphia Phillies hitting coach Milt Thompson.
Well, there was a bigger number. I can remember while I was playing, the number was around 18%. And it has really fallen off since then. I think that, the inner cities, it's hard to find a place to put a field, or if they had a field there, they didn't take care of it the way it should be taken care of. So, the thing is, we have to go in and revitalize these fields and bring people out to teach them how to play the game so they can find a love for the game.
After attending Colonel Zadok A. Magruder High School in Montgomery County, Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C., Milt Thompson chose to stay home and go to college in his home city of Washington, where he attended historically black university, Howard University.
It was definitely a good experience. I was fortunate enough to play for Chuck Hinton, who had played in the big leagues. He knew my dad, so he helped me out a lot because he knew what it was like to play in the big leagues. He knew what it took to get to the big leagues, to play at that level. So he helped me out tremendously. I loved it. The only thing was we didn't have a home field. So we didn't have any home games, so it was pretty hard, but we just enjoyed it and had a great time.
About 60% of the population in the Chocolate City, Washington, D.C. is African American, but yet less than a third of all high schools in the nation's capital field a baseball team, and in fact, Milt Thompson's Howard University Bison's baseball team was dropped from the school in 2002.
It's a shame because, like I said, the people have, the community or the blacks in general, the baseball has kind of went down, dropped in, participants of African Americans in baseball. So the college probably didn't have enough players to go out there to support the team, so they had to drop the team, and that's sad.
Milt Thompson tells us about Ryan Howard and Jimmy Rollins' involvement in the inner city of Philadelphia and how they are received and recognized.
I think both of them have done tremendous job in Philadelphia, getting out there, getting into the schools, and letting the kids know that they're there. Their support is very high. Our thing is now is just getting the right people in place to train our kids about the game. That's the big problem right now. Is they know the Jimmy Rollins, they know the Ryan Howards, but it's the fact of coming in with the right people who can teach our kids how to really play the game. I was fortunate enough, like I said, growing up around the game of baseball and was taught how to play the game of baseball, to respect it and go out and play the game the way it's supposed to be played. Today you see a lot of guys, it becomes like flashy and all that stuff. You got your own shoes and all that stuff. Whereas when we grew up, you just went out and you played. We played the game and we found a way to win. And that's what it's all about, wins, and that's what they're doing.
Ryan Howard tells us whether or not he believes him and Jimmy Rollins, the two Philadelphia MVPs, can be as popular as another Philadelphia MVP was, one Allen Iverson.
That's, hopefully, I'm an AI fan. I'm not going to lie. But, for what he's done to the city and how long he was there, I think that, a little bit of that has a lot to do with that, with longevity. If Jimmy and myself can stay there and continue to do what we do in the city, then, yeah, hopefully, over time, we'll be able to make a difference.
All right, folks, Samori Benjamin back here. Yeah, so that was a report that I did in 2007, all right, with Jimmy Rollins and Ryan Howard and Milt Thompson, their hitting coach at the time, and I thought about it because the World Series is going to begin in a few days, and Philadelphia might be in it. They are one win away from the World Series, and they're in the National League Championship Series right now, and there's no Afro-American players who are on their team. There's one pitcher, Taiwan Walker, but he has yet to make an appearance in these playoffs. Don't know if he will. So if there's a black kid in Philadelphia and they're watching the Phillies, there's no Afro-American player who they can look at and really identify with and be excited about watching. So that's a story that I thought about and wanted to play because 16 years later, nothing has changed. In fact, it's gotten worse. There were just 3 Afro-American players on Philly at that time, 2 of them MVPs. The other one was Michael Bourne. He was a reserve outfielder for Philadelphia at the time, okay? And now there's really none. Taiwan Walker, we see him in the dugout cheering, but he never gets a chance. I just checked. I was not even sure if he was on the postseason roster. He is, but he has not made an appearance yet, starting or in relief. So it's slim pickings out there for Afro-American ball players on Major League Baseball rosters. So Jimmy Rollins and Ryan Howard.